Today on Mr. Nashville Talks, singer, songwriter, and background vocalist, Miss Tabitha Fair. Well, I am incredibly excited today because I have loved this lady singing even though we had never met, and she's everywhere. Miss Tabitha Fair.
Hello.
And she's made Nashville her home, and we are so glad that she did. And why don't you tell us a little bit how the journey brought you to Nashville, because it's a very interesting story.
Well, I was living up in New York. I'd been there for 16 years, and near the end of my stay in New York, I was doing a lot of praying, actually, and I was like, God, I how sometimes you feel a stirring inside of yourself where a shift is happening. That's how I was feeling, and I remember making this list. And on the list, one of the things I put was at the top of the list. I said I would love to go on a major tour and be featured on the tour. That was one of the things. And so, so time goes by. I'm not even thinking about it, and I get this phone call from a good friend of mine. Her name is Kim Keys, and she lives here in Nashville. And she and I had done tons of singing together back in the day when I lived here before. And we did a lot of singing for Amy Grant, and we did several tours with her together. And she and I were like soul sisters. We did a lot of session work together and that kind of thing. Anyhow, I just got a call out of the blue from her one day, and she said, would you be available to do a tour with Rascal Flatts, or to come out and do a Vegas run, and then we'll see how it goes and see if they want to add us to the tour. And I said, let me think about it. Yes, I would love to do that. So I ended up going out to Vegas and doing the Vegas run, and they ended up hiring us to go out on a tour with them for a year. And so I had to relocate to Nashville, and so that's how I got to Nashville, was kind of through that door. And so I was saying to you earlier that I felt like that was definitely a God moment where He was moving me here for a reason and a purpose. And because when God does it, it's like everything is so smooth. You know, it's like you just know, okay, there's something cool and different happening here that is motivated by the Lord.
Yes.
So in that moment, I felt so at peace about it, and anyhow, I went out on the tour and had to relocate, and so after the tour was over, I was like, I'm staying in Nashville, and I had gone through a breakup, a 10-year relationship, and that ended, and so it was just all ordained for me to be here.
Nashville is a healing place.
It is.
It seems like people, if you're in trouble or whatever, there's always somebody that knows you, or that knows somebody that knows you, and there's somebody there willing to help. It's always been that way here. It's like a really big town or big family, even people that you've never met, or, we're all in this together. It's like we appreciate that community of Nashville. When we had the big flood here several years back, we raised all the money to fix the town back up. We didn't wait for the government. Vince Gill and all of them, they got together, did a telethon. And,
right, they were like, let's just do this ourselves.
We got everybody here. And have you got to sing on the Opry since you've been back?
I've gotten to perform with Rita Wilson.
Yes.
She actually did her debut performance there this year.
She's a great writer too.
She's an amazing writer.
Now you're a very prolific songwriter. You wrote some some amazing songs. You've worked with some of the greatest writers, and one of probably the greatest writer in popular music anyway, Carole King. How did that come about? Because I have to say that would be like working with the Beatles if you're a rocker. Really it doesn't get any better than Carole King if you're a writer.
It really doesn't. That
in
I
popular
tell you,
music.
That was a moment. I went on this writing retreat to the south of France. And it was Miles Copeland's writing retreat.
Oh, wow.
And I got invited to it. And it was the very last day of the retreat. You know how they'll put like 3 writers together at a time each day? And at this retreat, you never know. It was like each day's a different, you're put together with different writers. And you never know who those writers are going to be. So the last day rolls around, and it was a fantastic week, great food. It was magical. Because, for one, when you're in the south of France, what's awful about that? Nothing.
And with all these gifted people, too.
Yeah. So Friday rolls around, and they announce who you're going to be with, and they announced that I was going to be with her, and I was like, okay, it's on. I hope that I can step up to the plate here, because that's such a wow, such an opportunity. But I have to say, like, the whole week that we were there, she was just so giving and so kind and gracious, and we ended up writing a song called "If We Get Through This," and she actually brought the idea, and it just flowed so easily. And I just remember when the bridge rolled around, I had a lot to do with that melody and the bridge, and so that was really cool, but I will never forget that experience. And I don't think a lot of people have gotten to write with her.
Yeah, not that I know of either.
And so that was such a wonderful, magical moment in my life and in my career.
Well, you have you have a really sweet spirit, that connects. Just sitting here talking with you, it feels like I should have been old friends and knew each other.
Yeah.
Because you really have that kind of feeling that you push out of you, the anointing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little hoarse.
Okay.
You'll might hear me do that a lot. Forgive me. But
we need to lay hands on you.
Yes. Well, now since we said that, I want to go into that a little bit. You're a PK,
yes,
a preacher's kid. Different denominations have different things. Different pastors' kids experience different things. A lot of times, the poor pastors' kids have it so much worse because they have to. They can't be seen doing something that everybody else can do, even though it's harmless. But it's going to hurt mom and dad. Sure. Were you allowed to listen to like Carole King and rock and country music? Because I know some households even now they're really strict on it.
My folks were like my mom when she was growing up. Like her father, he was a drug addict and alcoholic, and he got saved and drastically saved, and then everything was a sin. After he got saved, and so the girls weren't. My mom and her sisters, they were not allowed to wear pants or do athletic events, or like everything was a sin, literally everything except eating and breathing. That was kind of the deal.
Yeah.
So my mom was like, my children are not going to be raised that way because I want them to experience things and not be so sheltered and.
Yes.
And so because I think to some degree that can cause some trauma.
Yes.
Whenever you're so sheltered and you can't do anything and you can't hang out with your friends because it's against your religion or it's sinful
you have to kind of get to that point where you make the decision to fall flat or you got to kind of have an opportunity to fail or make bad choices.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So it's called trust.
Exactly.
Your parents they want to give you enough leeway so that there's trust between you and your folks. So. So my parents are really cool about letting us, do things and not everything wasn't a sin. The one thing that was a sin though was we weren't allowed to go to dances. Oh yeah. But so I honored my folks.
Were you real involved with singing in the church?
I was. I started making records when I was 11 years old.
Oh wow.
My mom's family, they were all very musical, and they were traveling evangelists, and so they started making records when they went out on the road and did all that. So my grandfather was a chaplain for the Assemblies of God. His name was W.W. Hayes. And so and my mother was a teenage evangelist, and of course my dad is a preacher and a pastor. So, I'm in a family of a lot of preachers, a lot of church, a lot of all that. So, so I always had I'm a ham. I have that ham bone in my body. So, growing up singing in church, I didn't have any fear, to go up right up there and just, be the star of the show.
That's right.
So anyhow, my first record was when I was 11 years old, and then I had my own television show when I was 15.
Wow!
And that was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa.
And then I made my own solo record, but the church, that's where I learned how to perform in a sense, and how to connect.
Yes.
It's because it is all about a connection, and I feel like that connection has stayed with me, all of these years, and. It's what gets me through every day. But so the church was a big influence on me musically, and then I started making records, and I knew that I always thought, well, I just want to be a Christian artist. That's it, you know. But as I got a little older, it seems like I was branching out into other areas of music, and I've gotten to sing with a lot of my heroes over the years and perform with.
That's the treat of it all,
stages.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
That's more than the money. That's more than the accolades, the awards. To me, those memories with like your heroes that come about just from the types of work that we do. That you never dream you're gonna be sitting on a couch with Carole King writing a record, or writing a song. But people, who are some of your heroes, though?
Well,
or at least maybe went in the early days and then up to now, I guess.
Goodness, there's so many. It's hard to even. Okay, well, I Christian music wise, like Andre Crouch. He was a huge influence on me, and a lot of the singers that like his sisters, and they were a huge influence, and Reba Rambo and Dottie Rambo and the Rambo family, they were a huge influence. And then, some of the other, Christian artists coming up like Leon Patillo and Sandy Patty and, Amy Grant, the list goes on. And then popular music, I started listening to that when I was 11, started listening to a lot of that music, and a lot of the bands from the 70s, they were like amazing, like Journey and Aerosmith.
That's my favorite.
Sting and Carole King and Heart, and all these people. I vocal coach, so I always tell my students, I say, these artists are some of our best teachers.
Yes.
And I always say, listen to music. Yeah. Listen to music, because those will influence your music.
Yes.
In a good way, because they are masters at what they do.
Exactly.
And
everyone's on somebody else's shoulders. We're all standing on the shoulders of somebody before us that did, like Steven Tyler, the type of vocal he does, had there not been a Little Richard, there would never have been that, Yeah. And so I think the history of it all is amazing. And I can see why that you enjoy it so much, because you actually have welcomed all of that into there's not anybody that's singing that didn't benefit from learning from somewhere.
It's like it's like,
even if it was a preacher,
it's like stealing from the best.
That's right.
Right.
It's
like that's it. And another artist that he was a little before my time, but I just loved his voice, Marvin Gaye.
Oh yeah.
Marvin Gaye is like one of the to me, one of the most amazing singers.
Grew up in the church too.
He did.
Had
and
a
Aretha Franklin, and
But and as you were saying, talking about Marvin Gaye, you have this great project that you're working on in a big date. In New York. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with that?
Sure. So I got asked to be a part of the all-star band for the show coming up. It's called Celebrate Brooklyn.
Yes.
And it's the Celebrate Brooklyn concert series at Prospect Park.
Wow.
at the big shell there, the big stage. And so I've been asked to be a part of the all-star band to tribute Marvin Gaye, and then we're doing the whole What's Going On record.
Wow.
And so it's going to be beyond incredible, and with an all-female band.
Yeah. And
Felicia Collins, who was the guitar player on the Letterman show, she's the musical director for it. So it's going to be quite the lineup. And
that album, and
it's free. The concert's free.
Oh yeah, you don't want to miss that. But yeah, that whole album is so timely even now. You hear those songs and you think, wow, there's so much of the same issues going on,
Absolutely. You know what I noticed as I was listening? I've been listening to it. Marvin was a preacher's kid too.
Yes.
And this whole record is like a tribute to the Lord.
Yeah.
It's like a praise record.
Yeah.
As you listen to it and you listen to those words, seriously, it's like a praise record.
Yeah.
And so that's what and that's another reason why I'm so excited about it. It's so relevant.
Yes.
To what's happening in our world now, and
oh yeah,
the messages are so good, so wonderful and pure.
And you do that. You're also a performance and vocal coach, correct?
I am.
So I mean, you're doing that even on that level.
I am. I work with people of all ages, and I love working with new artists. That's kind of and helping them kind of develop and get to a point of where they feel comfortable and they feel confident on stage and in their vocals and in their performance as well.
Yeah.
So that I love that part of it, but I love all of it.
Yeah. Now, are you taking on new clients and things?
Yes, absolutely.
I guess through your website they can...
Private clients and of all ages.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have a dream. Yeah. And you have a gift for music, and you want to put the time into it and the energy into it.
Yeah.
I would love to. I'm your girl, because I want to be a part of something that is, of course, bigger than myself. Something that, a gift and a talent that God's given somebody, and I can be there to lift them up and to, and to help them grow as an artist.
And those of you watching, I mean, that's what you need. You don't need to you call somebody up, yes, I'm wanting to be a star, and expect all of that. Come humble to the gift, with the gift, and let it grow, nurture it, water it. Even if it's like there's only two types of music, good and bad, was what everybody always used to joke around and say, and I think that's the same with a career. You can really ruin yourself if it's all about the prize. If you're not enjoying it, if you're not understanding what you're doing, I think that takes a lot away from
and let me just
your
say,
gifts.
There's not overnight successes.
No.
It's a process
Yes.
to get to that point of kind of perfection, like a great song and a great performance. That's a process. And don't go into it with, I want to be a star, I want to be this, I want to be that. Just go into it like, I want to be the best
I can be.
that I can be. And pray for opportunities to come your way. Pray for open doors.
Sing anywhere that'll let you sing.
Exactly.
Sing
all
the
the time.
flatbed of in a hay wagon somewhere.
Exactly.
Do it. You never know who's going to be in the audience.
When I was young, when I was younger, in my younger days, going to high school and junior high, I would sing at the ball games. I would sing the national anthem. I would go sing at all these churches. Wherever people asked me to sing, I was like, yep, I'll be there. And a lot of times I'd put my own sound equipment in the car, and I would just drive to wherever it was, set it all up, do the concert. Then I would take it all down and I'd drive home, and I was in my teens.
Wow.
I was driven. I was like rehearsing every day. I would go next door to my dad's church, because we always lived in the parsonage next door. So I'd go to the church after school every day, and I would practice. I would practice my piano, I'd practice my singing, and I would dream as I was doing it. It was like I would have visions of my future. But listen, I could never dream up what's happened to me, because I have gotten to perform in front of presidents, and I've gotten to sing at Carnegie Hall, Radio City, all over the world with some of my heroes, with a lot of my heroes, Sting, Bruce Springsteen, James Taylor, Elton John, I'm Lady Gaga at the Grammys. And if I wouldn't have done the work, trust me, I would never have gotten to do these things I've done.
Now tell us, you got a new project coming out, Tnt Duo, and it sounds really exciting. What brought it together, and tell everybody kind of what it's about.
Okay. Well, so TNT stands for Tabitha and Tori, or Tori and Tabitha. So my friend that I do this project with, that I'm doing this project with, her name is Victoria Veneer. And I've known her for years. She and I met out at Opryland years ago and did some session work together. Anyhow, I moved back to Nashville. When I moved back here, she and I reconnected, and we wrote a song together. And then we were like, we did a writer's night together, and she was like, hey, we should put a duo project together. And I was like, let's do it. So we did, and so what came out of it was a record called Tnt Duo. It's called Catch the Boom. That's the name of the record. And
Catch the Boom.
Yeah, Catch the Boom. And one of my friends who is a social media buff, she said, you need to like write a song, you know, and you need to release it for free and everything. So anyhow, that was the song that we wrote, and we ended up titling our record project that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And do you have any plans to like do a little tour with it together, or are you? I mean, you both got separate careers too, but
we do. You know, it's just you know, it's like when you make the record, it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
What are we going to do with it now?
Yeah.
And how financially, and who's going to come to the table and want to help us out? You know, so if you would like to help us out,
that's right. And you talked earlier. We talked about how you got to work with some of your heroes. You got to sing before presidents. You got to do things that you never even imagined you'd get to do as a child. You know, when all you're wishing and dreaming. What has been like the one particular thing that means the most to you of the career side? Now we know the Christian side and the love of all the Lord.
I would say, like, for me, like one of the highlights for me was getting to perform with Sting at the Beacon.
Yeah.
It was his 60th birthday, and he had in his like 25 years in the industry, he had like Stevie Wonder and Bruce Springsteen, Lady Gaga, Mary J. Blige, Branford Marsalis. There was like, you know, a huge list of celebrities and legendary artists who came out to honor him that night. And we were the house band. We were Sting's band. And that was pretty great.
Yeah.
And so all week, you know, preparing for the gig, we rehearsed at SIR in New York City, and getting to do that music all week, it was, you know, it's ear candy.
Yeah.
It's like, because I love Sting's music, so all week, and the band is like the best in the world. Vinnie Colaiuta and Christian McBride on bass, and you know, it was just like, and Sting, you know, fronting the band, and so all week long, you know, getting to hear him sing those songs with this band was just, it was like, I was in pure music ecstasy.
Yeah.
I really was, because it was like I'm living a dream here, you know, that I get to do this gig with this guy who I have just looked up to for so long as an artist. Yeah. He's truly one of the most prolific songwriters and singers and bass players, and you know, and he's so cute, you know, and sexy. It was like, So all week, you know, I get to look at him and I get to hear him sing and play, and it was just a week of just music ecstasy. And then the day before the gig, all of the artists comes in and we rehearse with them. And then the day of the gig, we're there at the Beacon, and it's just beautiful. It sounds incredible, and then you've got the live audience out there, and they film the thing as well, so you can actually see it on YouTube.
Oh, great! Yeah,
the whole thing on YouTube. So that for me was like a highlight in my career, getting to do that gig, because I'm such a huge fan of his.
Oh yeah, I mean, I grew up on his music too. I mean, he was the '80s just about.
Yeah,
you know?
the Police and all that stuff. Yeah, I love that too.
Yeah, I love 80s music. I love it all. I love all music. I mean, I'm finding myself now as I'm getting older, things that I always said I never liked, hints of it are coming into my life, you know? And it's like, you know, my kids are like, what are you going to... I said, you got to just hear this. I drive them crazy. Listen to this. Appreciate
Check this out.
You know,
right.
My oldest, he kind of does, but my youngest, he's like, you listen to some weird stuff.
It's like, you know, you listen to Toto and all those records. Oh my goodness, those were so great. Yeah. You know,
Nashville, you know, with you're here now. You're taking part of everything. What do you want? What do you see yourself doing in the next 5 years, or what do you have, like a 5-year hope plan, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I would love to have a ministry for women.
Right. Yeah.
I'd love to be involved in like the women's, like when they have those big conventions. What would you call those?
Seminars.
Seminars. Yeah. I would love to be up there singing my own songs. and even maybe speaking
Yeah.
and just, I would love to do that. And then I would love to vocal coach in like London. I would love to go overseas. And
I
would
just want
love
to go to London, period.
Me too. But I would love to go all over and just help artists
Yeah.
with their performance and give them a platform, give them tools,
Yeah.
to feel confident on stage. And then I would love to make another record. I would love to make a record. I love singing everything, but I love the standards and I love
Yes.
that kind of stuff. And I would love to write an album of that kind of material and go out and do a tour doing that kind of
awesome.
stuff. I like more jazz, but soul
Yeah.
kind of in there too. And I love to perform live. I'd love to go out on another tour with another artist, and I would love to get some cuts doing country or
anything.
Anything really.
The country is
yeah.
is our
Anything
town.
that I could drum up, would be great.
And when we were talking about background vocals and things, that a studio background singer it's really like a science, that it's different than on stage. It's and I stand in awe when you hear the background singers in a studio.
Mm-hmm.
Does it translate that way to you guys, or we're just doing that? It's just natural.
No,
Or do you feel it like?
No, you feel it.
Yeah.
It's like if there's a beautiful blend going on, you're like, hey, we sound pretty good. We should do this for a living.
Yeah.
And like for me, I have my favorite singers that I love to sing with, either live or in the studio. One being Chip Davis.
I love Chip.
And also I love my friend Neil Coomer. He was in the band East to West, and
Yeah.
he now lives up in New York, and that's where he and I met. So he was in my band up there. So yeah, there are those singers that you just love to sing with because you have such a great blend. It's almost like a family blend.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a fine art to it.
Do you know Angie Prim?
I do know her.
Oh,
Yes.
I adore her.
Yes,
She's
I
a
don't know her
sweetheart.
well, but yes.
Oh, you two would hit it off, I think, really,
Oh, that'd be
really
cool.
well, because she's like you, no ego, loves people, and just she walks into a room and just brightens it up.
Love that.
And you've got that spirit about you as well.
you.
I really enjoyed having you on, and you really,
Thank you.
like I said, you have such a quality about you that just kind of makes you feel happy to be in your presence. And I'm not just saying that because we're doing this. I just feel that about you, and I know that people have to be just lined up to want to work with you, or they should. And I know all those dreams are going to come true because you just have the right spirit about you. Subscribe to our mailing list and you could win a CD or DVD project by today's featured artist. To enter, please go to www.mrnashvilletalks.com and enter your email address. While there, take a look around, browse through our music store, or order one of our Mr. Nashville Talks t-shirts for $20. I want to hear from you, so follow our social media via Twitter, Instagram, or like us on our Facebook page.